You ever flown on an airline and then discovered later it was no longer in business? Perhaps you had a great experience and you wonder what happened. Or you had a bad experience and it's no secret why they're gone. Each carrier, once a beacon of hope and progress, faced challenges that led to their eventual demise. Here are 15 forgotten airlines that no longer exist. From global pioneers that defined the golden age of flying to regional favorites that connected communities across America, these airlines flew millions of passengers to vacations, family reunions, new beginnings, or handling business. Be sure to stick around for the last one because this airline had the shortest existence. Trans World Airlines TWA. This airline symbolized the golden age of aviation. Under the visionary leadership of Howard Hughes in the 1940s, TWA pioneered flying across the country. In 1962, TWA had a terminal at New York's JFK International Airport and became a major player in global aviation. They set themselves apart by providing a luxurious experience, in-flight amenities, and innovation. Travelers fondly recall the airline's impeccable customer service and iconic red and white color scheme. At its peak in the 1960s, TWA operated from over 100 airports worldwide. However, financial struggles and competition led to its acquisition by American Airlines in 2001. Despite its closure, TWA's legacy endures at the TWA Hotel at JFK, giving guests a taste of what it was like to travel in style in its heyday.
We can fly, we can fly.
Braniff International Airways. Not to be outdone, this airline had a big ego until it burst. Brothers Paul and Thomas Braniff started Braniff International Airways in 1928, headquartered in Dallas, Texas. The airline gained fame in the 1960s and 70s for its vibrant aircraft designed by Alexander Girard and flight attendant uniforms by Emilio Pucci. They flew across the U.S. in international destinations in South America and Asia. Braniff pulled out all the stops by having famous people, actors, and sports figures endorse the company. Their commitment to style, innovation, and offering unique experiences had everyone talking. Every flight was eye candy inside and out. Unfortunately, financial difficulties and competition led to its demise in 1982. Braniff's influence on airline branding and design remains an unforgettable benchmark in aviation history.
This one's off to Acapulco. Braniff International. When you got it, want it.
Mesaba Airlines. This airline was the mighty eagle of the upper Midwest that connected remote communities to larger cities. Mesaba, mighty eagle, or giant eagle in the Ojibwe Native American language, started in 1944 in Eagan, Minnesota. It was family-owned until it went public in 1982. It operated a substantial network of regional routes and served as a feeder airline for larger carriers like Regional Airlines and Northwest Airlines. However, the 2000s were not kind to Mesaba Airlines as they struggled to adapt to aviation challenges from 9/11 layoffs and an aging fleet of planes. They filed for bankruptcy in 2005 and were acquired by their longtime partner Northwest Airlines in 2007. From there, Mesaba was treated like a hot potato nobody wanted. Northwest Airlines merged with Delta in 2008. Mesaba was sold to Pinnacle Airlines in 2010. Finally, the Eagle was put down in 2012 as Pinnacle ended Mesaba's operations. Continental Airlines. From humble beginnings to a global network, this airline was there step for step in the evolution of modern travel. Continental Airlines started as Varney Speed Lines in 1934 in El Paso, Texas. They were quickly renamed and moved to Houston, Texas. Their most popular routes were between Chicago, Denver, and Los Angeles. Under the leadership of Robert Six and through alliances and partnerships, Continental expanded its network, offering popular routes across the U.S., Europe, and Asia. Continental was taken over by Texas International Airlines in 1981, but it continued to operate as Continental Airlines. The 80s and into the 90s was a challenging time for Continental as it filed for bankruptcy twice in 1983 and 1990, struggling to stay alive. The end came for Continental when they merged with United Airlines in 2010. Ozark Airlines. If there were an airline that made you wish for the good old days, that would be Ozark Airlines. Three friends pulled $100,000 to start their airlines in 1943 with a humble 5-seat Beechcraft Model 17 Staggerwing. Headquartered in St. Louis, it flew flights between St. Louis and Springfield, Missouri. In the 50s, Ozark grew its network outward with a fleet of DC-3s flying to 35 cities. The airline was all about having fun. Everyone was treated with the same friendly service with a smile. Passengers remembered the hot meals as soon as they were in the air. With their catchy commercials, Go Getters Go Ozark, they built a loyal following. In the 80s, Ozark flew to 57 cities, accounting for a quarter of all of St. Louis Lambert International boardings. One major airline looked across the hub and wanted Ozark's success. TWA acquired Ozark Airlines in 1986 and the beloved airline was gone. Piedmont Airlines. Although not technically gone, Piedmont Airlines is currently a subsidiary of American Airlines. Piedmont Airlines was founded in 1948 and headquartered in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Starting with routes in the Mid-Atlantic, Piedmont grew rapidly in the 1980s to serve major cities across the country, even to the Bahamas. Passengers appreciated the convenience of routes like flying nonstop from Baltimore to Phoenix or San Francisco to Charlotte. Piedmont became a significant player in the industry and merged with US Air in 1989. They became the largest airline on the East Coast. Today, you might not see Piedmont-branded planes, but Piedmont lives on as a regional carrier operating under American Airlines as American Eagle.
No wonder they call us the up-and-coming airline.
Welcome to Dallas-Fort Worth. We hope you'll fly with us again real soon.
Chautauqua Airlines. With a unique name, this airline was nearly invisible to the average traveler. Chautauqua Airlines started in 1973 and was named after Chautauqua County in New York. For much of its existence, it flew as a feeder service for other airlines via code-sharing agreements. First, it did so for Allegheny Airlines at Allegheny Commuter and US Air as US Air Express. In 1998, Republican Airlines acquired Chautauqua Airlines and became a subsidiary. They moved their headquarters to Indianapolis and grew into a significant regional airline with more code-sharing agreements. You can name almost any airline and add an express, and that was them. Chautauqua offered a seamless experience between brands. At its peak, it served 52 destinations across the US and Canada. In the early 2010s, the demand for regional service declined, and Republic Airways decided to end Chautauqua Airlines. They last operated as a feeder service for Delta as Delta Connection, American Airlines as American Connection, and United Airlines as United Express. Comair. Not to be confused with the 90s summer blockbuster Con Air starring Nicolas Cage, Comair was established in 1977 in Cincinnati, Ohio. They were highly successful in flying only 2 Piper Navajo aircraft within communities in Ohio. They started working with Delta Airlines in 1984, serving the central Midwest, the East Coast, and Canada. They played a crucial role in expanding Delta's network. Delta acquired Comair in 1999, which was worth over $2 billion. Passengers appreciated the airline's punctuality and the convenience of connecting flights. Delta filed for bankruptcy in 2005 in just a few years, dragging Comair along. Economic challenges from the Great Recession and industry consolidation led Delta to close Comair in 2012.
Delta isn't just Comair's owner, it's also Comair's only customer.
Texas International Airlines. Why drive long distances in the hot Texas sun when you can fly for just peanuts? Trans Airways operated a fleet of Douglas DC-3s. People ridiculed them as Treetop Airlines and Tinker Toys Airlines until a name change in 1969 to Texas International Airlines. Headquartered near William P. Hobby Airport in Houston, they served the Sun Belt region and expanded outward. Under the leadership of Frank Lorenzo, he introduced revolutionary low fares and made air travel more accessible. Passengers finally recalled the Peanut Fares marketing and Payola Pass frequent flyer program. Texas International operated numerous flights across the U.S. and Mexico. It acquired Continental Airlines in 1982 and discontinued the Texas International Airlines brand.
Check Texas International for connecting flights to U.S. cities throughout the Sun Belt and Mexico.
America West Airline. This airline brought people to enjoy their favorite outdoor activities against the backdrop of the desert or try their luck in Sin City. Founded in 1981 in Phoenix, Arizona, America West Airlines offered popular routes throughout the western U.S. and beyond. Targeting budget-conscious travelers, the airline provided reliable services. Every employee owned stock in the company. Travelers remember their amenities like assigned seating and complimentary snacks and beverages. America West grew rapidly. They even flew to Hawaii, Japan, and Australia. In 2005, it merged with US Airways when it went bankrupt. America West preferred their national brand and converted from America West to US Airways.
America West, we fly with pride, we care for you.
Republic Airlines. Believe it or not, this airline was once the largest in the country. Formed in 1979 through the merger of North Central Airlines and Southern Airways, Republic Airlines was the first merger following the 1978 Federal Airline Deregulation Act. They were headquartered in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and operated hubs from Detroit, Memphis, and Minneapolis. A year later, in 1980, they bought Hughes Air West and acquired their operations at Phoenix Sky Harbor and Las Vegas McCarran International Airport. They became the largest airlines in the country by the number of airports they served, over 100. Unfortunately, it was all downhill following the merger as they mismanaged the former Hughes Air West operation serving the west of the country. Service was reduced, the losses followed, and their reputation was damaged. People called them Repulsive instead of Republic. In 1985, Republic merged with Northwest Airlines, ending their short-lived existence.
We make you feel like flying.
AirTran Airways. This airline was a trailblazer in low-fare air travel, making flying affordable throughout the East and Midwest. AirTran Airways began as Conquest Sun Airlines in 1993 from Orlando, Florida. A year later, AirTran Corporation, which also owned Mesaba Airlines, acquired Conquest and was renamed AirTran Airways. A few years later, the airline merged with another low-fare airline, ValueJet, in 1997. The merger was controversial as ValueJet was involved in a fatal plane crash the year before. New management turned the new company around, making it profitable, and it went public on the New York Stock Exchange in 2001. AirTran's culture is centered around value, efficiency, and a reputation for safety. Their success continued throughout the 2000s, establishing major hubs in Atlanta, Baltimore, and Orlando. In 2011, Southwest Airlines acquired AirTran and completed the merger in 2014, making it free for passengers to move around the country, including popular destinations in the Caribbean. Air Florida. This airline lets you move about the Sunshine State without hurting your wallet. Air Florida began in 1971 as an interstate airline, meaning it could only operate within the state during the era of regulation. They were based at Miami International Airport and only had routes flying between Miami, Orlando, and St. Petersburg. Passengers recall its vibrant colors and affordable fares. Their fares were so low that they operated at a loss every year in the 70s except 1979, when deregulation allowed Air Florida to fly out of the state. They targeted cities in the Northwest and Midwest, enticing people to have fun in the sun in the winter. They even expanded to Latin America and Europe. However, overexpansion hopes led to financial struggles, and a tragic crash in 1982 hurt their reputation, eventually leading to bankruptcy in 1984. The following year, Midway Airlines bought out Air Florida.
Air Florida, 1-800-432-8505.
Trans Airlines. How about an airline that took you water skiing and other recreational activities in the heartland of the country? Trans Airlines was Resort Air in 1982, taking passengers from St. Louis to the Lake of the Ozarks for fun times. In 1985, Trans became a regional feeder carrier for TWA. In 1989, they changed their name to Trans Airlines. In the 90s, TSA expanded operations on both coasts in LAX and JFK. They operated as a feeder airline for US Air, TWA, and American Airlines when they merged in 2001. When U.S. Airways merged with American Airlines in 2015, they flew as American Eagle until 2018. In 2019, TSA lost its codeshare agreement with Delta and only had United Airlines as a feeder carrier. The final blow was when the pandemic hit in early 2020 and their parent company ended the business for Trans Airlines.
Definitely the best part of my job is the crews that I get to work with each and every day.
Independence Air. This airline did a 180 on their business model and their identity. When airline bankruptcies and mergers dominated the headlines, regional airline Atlantic Coast Airlines rebranded itself as Independence Air in late 2003. The airline was the bold vision of CEO Kerry Skeen to be an ultra-low-fare carrier. Named as a nod to the national capital, Independence Air aimed to disrupt the market with fares as low as $29. Targeting cost-conscious travelers, especially college students, it introduced promotions like the Glide Summer Travel Pass. They operated 200 daily departures to 37 destinations. Despite Independence Air's bold approach, they failed within months of the new operation. Financial challenges such as missing payments on lease aircraft made it all a bad idea. After a couple years, it filed for bankruptcy and stopped flying in 2006.
Well, it's called Independence Air. This plane here just getting ready to leave for Atlanta, and this one over here will depart a little bit later for Raleigh.
There you have it. Do you have any fond memories of flying on any of these airlines? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, watch another one. Here are 15 things we never see at airports anymore.